Hey guys, got a special video for you today. We're going to be looking at the villains of Job Search Joy. That means we're going to be looking at what they look like, how they come up in your job search, and some of the challenges that you're going to be facing when you meet this villain in your search. So hopefully you can get some clarity and a better sense of, I know what I need to do to move forward. All right, let's take a look. So our first villain is the cracked reflection. This is the villain that's like, I don't know where I am in my job search. I'm not really taking in what I've done. You know, you look at everything that you've done and like, who is this? This is just so uh, I don't really see myself in this. You don't really get a sense of direction. So I like to start here because what you're looking back at is something that doesn't really reflect who you are. So this is where we start in Job Search Joy. We take a look at what we're seeing in the mirror and seeing if it reflects back our best self. And this villain gets in when we look and think, no, I'm not liking what I see. It doesn't represent who I am and who I want to be as a professional in this industry. So that's what we do first, and that is your first villain. Then we start to look at mission statements, and we have the mission statement fog. Many companies have a mission statement on their website, but I believe that you should have one too. Why? Because it's important to understand your sense of direction and vision for your future. Without a clear mission, and not just I want to make great games or I want to make fun games or I want to educate people, something that really says, this is what I want to do specifically, who I want to do it for, why it matters. It's unique to you, and you want it to be as unique to you as possible. Mine is I help job seekers visualize their challenges as villains so they can see what's in front of them, and that can help motivate them so they can find joy in the job search. And that's unique to me. Nobody else is doing that. And that's what you want in a mission so that you can clear away the fog and recognize, okay, I know where I'm going. Our next is the alignment puzzler. So having a mission is one thing, but knowing how your mission aligns with the company's mission is the next step. And that can be difficult because if you don't see yourself in the company culture, it probably isn't a good fit for you. So what you want to do here is understand that you have a mission and they have a mission. What are the words that connect these two? Because otherwise, the puzzle doesn't get solved. You don't know how you fit. And if you don't know how you fit, then you really don't know why you're the best choice to be there, and they're not going to go with you. So understand what piece you have and what piece they have, and where the language and the values connect. All right. So our next one is the Fear Loop Phantom. This is something that is kind of a hidden villain because you don't really see it in front of you, but it's hiding there. There's always going to be fears related to I'm not going to get a job, nobody's noticing me, I have nothing to offer. And so you get stuck in this fear loop, basically. I'm never going to make any progress, this is never going to happen, and it starts to snowball. And the more that you think about it and the more that you dwell on it, the worse it gets. So we want to stop that fear loop before it snowballs, before it gets worse. And that's why it's important to be aware of this villain and recognize, okay, what am I really afraid of here? And why am I afraid of it? And what can I do to prevent that fear from getting in the way and actually moving forward and actually like, I know what I'm doing now. I don't have to be afraid of this. What can we do to make that happen? Our next villain is the hobby horse. The hobby horse is a villain that makes you question whether you can use your hobbies as experience. You look at what you've done, you're like, can I really tie this in? I don't know. How do I do it? This is a villain that gets in your way, and overcoming them helps you see how what you do, whether it be art or music or writing, can actually be tied to your career. How you can take those threads and make clear connections to just about any job that you want. If this is something that you feel like, I really need help making those connections, this is a challenge for you because you may not have years of experience. So you have to take what you've got. And how do you do that? That's what this villain challenges you to figure out. All right, then we have the bio section bully, one of my personal favorites because while I feel like the mission statement is your guide, the bio section is like everything that makes you you. It's your core essence. And while the bio section of your LinkedIn profile or other profiles may not seem like a big deal, this is your place to tell your story, not just your background, not just your experience, not just, a few things that are fun tidbits about you, but truly what makes you unique? What is your vision for the future? What are you going to do? And how are you going to do it? There's so much rich storytelling you could do here. This is one of the pieces that once you've got this, lays the foundation for every other part of your application. It's your storytelling ability. And that makes a huge difference in how people perceive you. Then we've got the profiler. So the bio section is one part, but the profile is all the other parts. Your headline, your banner, getting recommendations, if you provide services and you're a freelancer, every other part needs to be checked off. And the profile looks and thinks, not happy with this. So where the bio section bully was crushing you for having a weak bio, the profiler is more analytical and he's not happy with what he sees. So we need to bump up that profile in a way that really demonstrates all the value that you can offer and show you in the best light. And the profiler prevents you from doing that. Then we have the professional summary obliterator. This is on your resume, that little section at the top. It may not seem like a big deal, but getting that to sound like it's you, but also all the value that you have without sounding generic is a really tough challenge. We want to create something that is really valuable, that he can't destroy, that really shows your experience and how you word it. Because this is another really good way to make what you do concise. Okay. And the more concise and clear you make it, the stronger it's going to be. Then we have the bullet point baron. Like on your profile and on your resume, you're going to want strong bullet points. And this guy, well, he feels like you are making him weak and he takes advantage of that. We want to make bullet points that show, what you've achieved, how you've quantified it, who you've actually really helped, all the tools that you use, how you've done it. There's so much work that goes into a bullet point. It seems so simple, but this guy tripped you up and makes you think it's just what you did. It's so much more than that. And once you recognize that, you'll be able to take him down. Then we have the cover letter crusher. Well, the cover letter crusher crushes you because he knows it's not good enough. And that means you need to understand what goes into a cover letter that actually really resonates with recruiters, that feels like your value is being put in there in a way that will really connect with the people that you're applying to, how your vision and your mission are shown in there and demonstrated, and just kind of taking everything that you've already established and integrating it into a short one page sort of pitch, essentially. And it's very hard to do. It's really hard to do effectively. And that's why this guy is out there and he's seeing it's not good. Boom, destroyed. So we want to prevent that from happening. Our next villain is the ATS mirror. So you've got the materials, right? You know what you're doing, you're ready to apply. And you're like, will the ATS, like, will it take this? Is it going to work? So you're worried about that. And that's what this villain does. What it wants is to be reflected. It wants to see the words that matter to it. the words that are in the job position that you're applying to, keywords that are optimized. But at the same time, you also want to see yourself in that reflection. So it becomes a real balancing act to show something that doesn't feel generic and that feels like you, but also is something that resonates with the keywords that are necessary for it to pass through those filters. And that's why this villain is particularly difficult. We had one reflection earlier, and that was just yours. Now we brought somebody else into the game, and we got to balance the two. Then we have the application antagonizer. Okay, this guy is funny because he doesn't always show up, and when he does, it's really frustrating. That's why he's an antagonizer. Okay, like an ant, right? That's kind of like biting you. It's like, oh man, I just wanted to enjoy being outside, and now I got this bite. Well, that's how these feel. These are the questions that come up maybe in an interview or maybe, when you're applying that basically asks you, if you were on a deserted island, like what would you bring? Or if you had a superpower, what would it be? You may not come across them, but if you do, it's like, what do I say? There are certain ways to deal with this that can make it a lot easier. And being creative, having fun with it, but also being clever can make a difference because who knows what they're really asking for when they ask this question? I think it's more to catch you off guard. But if you have something that you know is going to be a good answer, but also shows your ingenuity, they'll probably be impressed with that. You just can't be caught off guard. All right, next we have the video vanquisher. Not every role is going to ask for video application, but even if they don't, it's good to send in a video, a short, concise video that really shows what you represent, who you are, what you want to do, your experience can be helpful, but it's hard to be on camera, especially in certain roles where you're often behind a screen. So getting comfortable with that and knowing how this guy is not going to destroy you and make you feel like you're on the spot, but actually feel comfortable behind the camera can make a difference in how you present yourself and how people look at you and think, okay, I see who this person is. I like them. Before they've even gotten to meet you, rather than just seeing pieces of paper, they get to see the real you. So if you are needing to do a video application, this is definitely something valuable to check out. So then we have the villains of volatility. Basically, these are villains that you can't control. You just kind of have to deal with them. That's kind of one of the reasons they're grouped together. I actually ended up asking what people felt like were their villains, what would they name them? And there were a few here that were submitted to me. So I ended up grouping them all together and recognizing that they are all things that are out of our control. So one is the RTO Reaper. The RTO Reaper, or the Return to Office Reaper, forces you to return to the office when you just want to stay remote. You like being at home and you know you're more productive and happier that way. And this is a villain again that you can't control, but there are ways to combat it. The supply demand tsunami, something where a lot of jobs come in, a lot of jobs go. People rush in, people rush out. You don't know when you're going to get what you need. And there's always this kind of flow that kind of doesn't feel like it flows naturally with you. You're just kind of hoping you get something, and then so many come in, you're like, and then a ton of people are applying, and you get lost in the shuffle. So it's easy to sort of drown in the tsunami, and there are ways to stay afloat. The resume fisher. This is somebody that looks at your resume and they're fake. They want your information. They're a fake account. They don't have a real job. You probably have dealt with this. And so again, it may not be something you can control, but you can definitely be aware. And finally, the AI rejection, getting that rejection after you submitted. That's like, oh, this is so generic. You don't know when a company will send you a rejection that doesn't feel personalized. But when it does happen, there are ways to deal with the emotions surrounding it and to move on. All right, then we have the interview assassin. So the interview assassin, I've split into two levels. The first level would be the more common questions, like tell me about yourself and why should we hire you? And the interview assassin looks at you, and anytime you say something wrong, it's already ready to pounce. So you gotta have answers that are going to really make it feel like, yeah, I know what they're asking me, I know how to handle this, I have the structure, I know what to say. And level two or part two are additional questions that are problematic. So, like, how do you handle stressful situation? Can you explain this resume gap? These are ones that are commonly asked, but not the like main ones, the ones that you really need to answer just to have your kind of foundation. And then these are the additional ones that may come up, but are good to have answers for as well. So she's got a lot of ways that she can come at you. And so you got to be really careful when dealing with her. Then we've got the body bot, something you may not think about, but your body language during an interview. How are you presenting yourself? Are you looking away a lot? Are you blinking? Are you sort of moving in your chair? Are you tapping your fingers? Um, you know, are you kind of moving a lot? Like what is your body language? It's something to be aware of. It's not something to be like worried about, but it is something to be aware of. Just because the way that you are presenting your face, your body, your movements, your expressions can make a difference in how people perceive what you're saying. So maybe use a lot of hand gestures. I tend to do that. I don't know if that's good or not. I know I need to kind of bring it down a bit. Having an awareness of how you're sitting, how your posture is, and the things that you're doing, showing that confidence in your body and that poise makes a huge difference. And so that's why we don't want to be robotic like the body bot and have him, make you feel the same way, make you do those robotic movements. We want to grease it up, get loose, but have fun. Okay. Then we got the nervous networker. Okay, this guy's really afraid of pressing that button and like, do I say this? Should I say this? What if I get rejected? I don't know. I don't know how should I word this or uh, I don't know really where to go. What do I do? So you don't network, you don't know how to network. And this is a villain that is very common. Obviously, it's very hard to do. I've had trouble with it. And it's more about understanding that the word network has work in it. And once you realize that you need to take that out and start actually just experimenting, it becomes easier to do. So it's more about what messages you send out and how you're structuring them, and also how you've built up your own profile, your own presence to make those messages resonate with who you're sending them to. Okay. Then we've got the troublesome toolbox. Another villain that is kind of like, what? What? I'm not dealing with this. Well, you actually are, because the troublesome toolbox is the villain that comes when you're starting to apply to jobs. The troublesome toolbox is all of the apps, all of the things that you use to make your applications better, to sound better, to write better. It's all of the things, and you're like, this is costing me money. What am I using these for? How do I use them? I've got too many. I've got too little. I don't know what I should be using. And so he gets in your way because you end up having all of these like apps that you've got, and you're like, oh, you've got an empty toolbox, and you're like, what do I do? You know? And so here it's about understanding which tools are the best for you and how to use them in an effective way. So next, we have the pained letter. Now, there is such thing as a pain letter. A pain letter is different than a cover letter. A pain letter is one that addresses a problem the company is potentially facing and how you would solve that in the way that you would solve it. It's more so for people that have had some experience. If you are a really creative person and you know what companies are facing and you have an idea of what they need, this could be something to try. The pained letter, the villain itself, is just, it knows it's a lot of work and it's sad because you don't know about them. And when you do, you're like, oh, I gotta write one of these. These are so tough. But when you do, they're more powerful because of it, because they show you put in the research to learn about this company, to understand challenges that this company would be facing in your particular industry, and you've thought about how to solve them. And finally, we have the disparate parrot. So this guy is basically a guy that is mocking you, because you've got all these different things you've started in your application, all the bio, the cover letter, your video, your interview answers. You've got all these things, but they don't come together. They're all in disparate, separate parts, and they don't connect. So he's mocking you because of that. And we need to bring it together. Okay. And that's what this part is all about. It's that sense of I'm not just writing a bio to write a bio. I'm not just writing a cover letter that is aligned. I'm making sure that this cover letter feeds naturally from my bio. The cover letter goes into my interview answers. The interview answers then connect to my vision and so on. It's a connective circle of meaning that really shows what you can present to recruiters, and it shows your best self. I mean, it shows what you could be, what you aspire to be. Like I said, we don't want just a bunch of different materials. We want it all to come together with cohesive language that feels like this is my narrative. This is my job search narrative. And this is how I'm going to make an impact. That's your villain. And so that is the real test here. Can you bring it all together? So those are the villains of job search joy. There are 3 weeks of them. That's why there's 21 days. There's 3 weeks of them. And they are very challenging, but there are a ton of activities and videos and even really nice slides to help you overcome them. Now, I've got more villains coming because these aren't all of them. These are just some of the main ones that lay the foundations of what you need to do. But there are all kinds of villains out there. And I'm here to identify as many as I can so that you are aware of every little facet of your job search that could be altered to benefit you and to give you more clarity. So watch out for those later. But for now, you have 3 weeks worth of material to work with. And I hope that you're able to make really meaningful progress towards your goals and to getting that dream job that you love. Bye, guys.